Behind the images of power and money are real people with real stories, plans of hard work, sacrifice, and making the best decisions, turning failure into great achievement. Join us in conversation with leading business owners as we learn the secrets of how to gain long-term success, mistakes made, lessons learned, and how to build the kind of wealth that lasts for generations. Welcome to Wealth Wednesdays, hosted by Chicago Treasurer Melissa Conyears-Ervin. Join us now and build your own success story.
I'm your Chicago City Treasurer, Melissa Conyears-Ervin, and today we're spotlighting a dynamic duo whose vision has transformed their neighborhood from the inside out. They're the architects of innovation behind the revival of the Ramova Theatre in Bridgeport, a beacon of change and a testament to community spirit. I am pleased to introduce Tyler and Emily Nevius, lead investors and developers of the newly revitalized Ramova Theatre. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Tyler and Emily. Thank you so much for joining us. And especially today, first of all, we are very excited to hear your story, to hear your plans, but also we do want to take a moment and acknowledge that our heart truly goes out to both of you and the Bridgeport community regarding the recent tragic incident that unfortunately happened near the theater and also to the theater. We know that in life, sometimes there are unforeseen circumstances, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But you all certainly are resilient. You have shown your strength, support, and motivation. And truly, even with the incident that occurred, you all have bounced right back, opened, reopened. And so we are just so excited to hear from you both today. At this time, we will first allow you to just say hello, greet us, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. That was an amazing intro, so we appreciate the heck out of it. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, we'll just kind of jump into our conversations. And if you can first tell us, and by the way, I am just so excited that when we say this dynamic duo, you all have been on this journey together for quite a while. And so let's kind of open up with talking about really what inspired you to take on this ambitious project. Talk to us about that.
Sure. I mean, Em can add color. I think it was really Chicagoans that did. We're from Chicago. We come from families that we always had what we need, but humble backgrounds. And we grew up with some amazing people. I served in the military at the General Jones Armory on the South Side with some of the coolest people I've met, some of my really good friends to this day. And we always loved that. We always appreciated that. And those people are who we care the most about. And that's really what we value in life, is those experiences, those interactions. Just through a series of fortunate circumstances and some hard work, we ended up doing some really cool things with ourselves. We ended up in New York, working for a really cool entertainment company, doing some really cool things, but we never forgot where we came from and those people we really love. So after a good amount of time, we decided, let's try and take these amazing things that we care about, these experiences that we've been fortunate enough to be a part of, and bring them back to the city that we really love and we want to enrich with for the rest of our lives, which is Chicago and ideally the South Side. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did you all start this venture together? Like you mentioned, and by the way, thank you for your service.
No.
But you mentioned that even before opening up the Ramova Theatre in Chicago, you spent some time in New York together. Mm-hmm. Like, how did that happen that you both shared that mission?
I think a lot of it was just having a shared vision. And he brings the experience in the entertainment industry. And a lot of times I end up adding my 2 cents in terms of what it is, the bigger picture that we want to accomplish and the greater goals that we want to reach. So we make a good team in that respect.
I'd say we also, it was through life. We've been married over 20 years, as we mentioned before. We met each other down at Illinois in Champaign. But after getting married, we moved to Europe.
Chicago, ready
lived, around a lot of, breweries that had been open for 100 years, and were able to experience the communities that that they had that really profound impact on. We've been fans of live music and have gone to Lollapalooza and the street fests and all the amazing thing that Chicago has to offer. And we, after, I think we've been married 20 years, we started this 8 years ago. So we've been married 13, 14 years at the time. It's like, what do we want to do with our lives? What impact do we want to try and make? And that's how it was born. It's all these things we love: craft beer, live music, and again, those experiences in the south side of Chicago. And it's all right, let's take a shot and try and bring it all together.
Yeah. So Ramova Theatre in Bridgeport. Let's talk a little bit about the acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
What type of condition was the building when you acquired it? Talk to us a little bit about that experience even of the acquisition.
It was standing. That was the positive. It was.
Wow.
This was not a property-driven. We didn't do this because we saw Ramova and we're like, oh, this is ready to open and it's perfect. We did this very much about that mission first, and then we found Ramova after. Ramova had been sitting for almost 40 years. It was an unbelievably horrible condition. There were inches of dust and other things on the floors. You could see through the ceiling and see the sky. The basement had 3 or 4 feet of standing water in it. There was nothing. There was, the two of us and a couple of other crazy people that bought into the dream, and that was it. I mean, that we put more into Ramova, I think, in 40 years than anybody else had. But there was also this history that we learned really quickly. There was the Save the Ramova initiative and this whole groundswell of effort from the Bridgeport community to just keep it standing so a group like us could come through and make it happen. There were the local families and local elected officials before us that determined to putting a little bit of money into it just to give it those couple extra years of life was worth it. So there was this huge story and all these people that, whose voices, effort, and dollars helped keep it alive. But aside from all those, qualitative things, there wasn't much. It was a very rough building.
If we had taken it over and just fixed it, it wouldn't have worked in today's world. There weren't enough restrooms. There were no emergency egresses. And what we did was connect it to other buildings to make all of those things possible. But as it stood, even if we had just done repairs, that wouldn't have been enough to make it a functional building as it stood.
So how long was the renovation process?
That's a tricky question. So we started this Labor Day weekend of 2017 is when we had our epiphany. And yes, alcohol was involved. We were drinking beers at the time. We're like, we're going to bring the things we love, to Chicago. Started in 2017, and we had received our first official approval in 2020, March 12th. And at the city council session, we got the final vote. And if you remember, March 12th was a great day for us. The next day, Friday the 13th, March 2020, was when the world started to fall apart.
Gotcha.
So, elation followed by back to reality again. Mm-hmm. That led to this, I'm an optimist to a fault, this serendipitous, series of about a year of us going back, looking at the ideas again, the concept, the team, really everything. And we took that time. Every single person on the team said, we're not quitting, we're gonna make this happen. And we revisited the ownership group. That's how we got the 49 different owners to come in. We revisited the partnership. We brought in Bomb Revision to help us bring back in a landmark fashion, the property. And we went back and did it all again. Then we got our City Hall approval again, I believe, midway, call it the summer of 2021. Purchased the property September of 21, and then opened December 31st of 2023.
And when you spoke about the restoration process, I want you to talk a little bit about that landmark status. Sure. And by the way, as we talk about the recent incident that occurred, let's talk about how you had just gotten approved the landmark status, which means a lot, and tell us how you preserved a lot of those architectural things of the building, the structure. But with that, after the landmark status was approved, then you had an accident that occurred at the theater. Now you're reopening. You've already reopened, but this is like all amazing. Kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, there are many chapters to the book, as we like to say, and we're probably only a quarter of the way through it. The landmark status, again, trying to give credit to all the partners that deserve it. Baum Revision, we met with David Baum and his team in late 21 or maybe mid 21. And they said that, this is a beautiful building. You could actually bring this back and achieve a lot of the objectives that we didn't think were possible before, which is rehabilitate it, bring it back to the beautiful movie theater that it looked like, in the 70s and 80s, maybe a little bit before that. It was starting to get a little rough at the end. And still have all of these offerings for the public. So we realized that was going to be what we wanted to try and accomplish. We started working with the State Historical Preservation Office, National Parks, and just reviewing plans. What would we like to do? How do we plan on restoring it? What new features do we need to add to make it functional in the capacity that we wanted to bring it back to life? And it was a collaborative effort with all those groups that took probably closer to a year. And it's really a blend of, again, there being some things that we have to truly bring back in its original posture or perspective. And then there's the things that we were going to be flexible enough to add on, like a balcony for us was a large one that added about 400 people to the capacity. Wow. And it was just, a big, long collaborative effort. We finally got a sign off. And then it's a bunch of amazing Chicago-based contractors that came in and, the plastering, the ornate design work in the theater and the other areas, they helped bring it back to life. So very long, probably hundreds of people involved in making it happen. And you're exactly right. Like a week after we finally got our landmark status, we also got hit by a CTA bus. Damage wasn't too extensive. We're confident we can bring it back quickly. And again, the city, CPD, Department of Buildings, all these different groups jumped in, and they've been really, really helpful so far.
So I will tell you all that are listening, Tyler and Emily, they are very humble, because you talk a little bit about the investors and you mentioned a few, but certainly Tyler and Emily, they have not yet spoken about even those big influencers that we will be excited about in Chicago, to have some influencers that also really lent their voice and support to this project. So talk to us a little bit about the investors, but also as well as the influencers. Like I understand Quincy Jones and Chance the Rapper and Jennifer Hudson. I say that's my girl. She doesn't know that yet, but but nevertheless, talk to us a little bit about that. That's exciting.
It is. You want to talk about the investors? I'll talk to the artists.
Yeah. I mean, our dream was for this to be community owned and artist owned. Wow. And part of being a community owned property is to benefit the whole project, because then when there is noise or, if there are any complaints, then the neighborhood feels like it belongs to them. They have a sense of ownership. We want it to be someplace that our entire community feels comfortable coming. And we want it to be someplace that involves everyone. We have plenty of free programming opening our doors to the community. Our first 2 events were free open houses for the community members who just wanted to come and see the theater revived. That was really important to us. So we also, during COVID, had the opportunity to become a part of the Bridgeport community and meet neighbors for the first time who were willing to invest and be a part of this project. And that's how we became this community-owned venture. We're grateful for every one of them. And then 3 of those people ended up being bigger names that are recognizable names.
Amazing.
And it's great. I mean, it was this concept, right? And we had so many concepts or ideas that we thought were going to be important. And because of the time we had, we were able to get the majority of them done. But yeah, 75% of our investors are from the Chicagoland area.
75%?
About half is from Bridgeport itself, and the rest are friends and family. And then the Quincy Jones, Chance, and Jennifer piece, music is so important in Chicago. Music is so important to so many people. It's one of those things that, a couple of people with instruments or just their voice can really move millions of people. I can't think of too many other things out there that really exemplify creation and taking nothing and turning it into some of those powerful things in the world. So having this be owned by artists was unbelievably important, not just from a philosophical standpoint, from a financial standpoint. Again, we're creating, we're benefiting, we're growing. It should absolutely benefit artists that are actually driving that creation and growth. Started with Chance years and years ago. Just reached out and started talking to him immediately. I think it's fair to say he saw the concept, he understood my background and knew this was real, and he jumped in and offered to support from day one. And him and his broader team, Mr. Bennett, they're Taylor, there are more folks than I could mention that have helped make all this possible. And through his efforts and through really Chance and my belief together, along with obviously Emily, we reached out to Jennifer and Quincy and some other, the folks that Chance was like Chicago creators in our experience in Bridgeport and all this. These are the people we'd love to have join us on this mission. And thankfully, don't get me wrong, it wasn't overnight, but all of them said, yeah, wow, we're in. And they were willing to put their money where their mouth is, and say, we want to help make this happen, and we want to really drive some positive growth in Chicago.
They had valuable feedback too on how to take care of the artists who've come and visit and perform. And so we did take a lot of that feedback and everything that we could, we incorporated into the construction of the new building.
So I want to talk a little bit about the construction of the building, and I want to also talk a little bit more about what you offer at the theater, because I think that's going to be important for our listeners. Sure. But when Emily, earlier, you spoke about really the preservation of the building while also speaking about like coming up to code with today's time, modern amenities. How did you all balance that when you really look at the landmark status, but yet today's time, right?
That was a back and forth with the National Parks Department and mostly the development group and our architect. Our architect is Dan O'Reilly of O'Reilly Office, and he had a lot of really creative ways to incorporate the feedback that we received from the National Parks Department. It was a lot of give and take, and it was months of give and take, and ideas going back and forth about what would make things more appealing, what ways we could, for example, our balcony, our 400-person balcony is a floating balcony. It's not actually attached to the walls. Wow. So that there are supports under it, but it's not actually attached to the walls because we couldn't change any of the architectural features on those walls. We couldn't obstruct those or change those. And so we put the balcony in a way that doesn't actually attach to the walls, except through walkways. Wow. So there are little things like that. Yeah. There are also many ways that we pay homage to the original use of the building. Some of those were more because we wanted to remind our patrons that we are an old movie house. Some of them are there because of the National Parks Department's requirements to make sure that we haven't removed every little bit of a stairway, for example.
Yeah. Wow. It's a puzzle. I mean, it's a puzzle in that you have so many things you have to put into a space, and it takes someone like O'Reilly Office and BOM to be able to take all those requirements and figure out how to put them into this building. We always joke, we started thinking we had more than enough space and we weren't going to, be able to figure out what to do with it all, and now we've got a Swiss watch. It's like, okay, you move something somewhere, and you got to make sure you got, a place to move whatever was there before. It was a fun journey. It's a fun journey now, but it was a long and collaborative journey.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about what you have there at the theater. What do you offer? What might residents be interested in?
For the residents, the first thing I'd start with is parking. we
love that in Chicago. Yeah. Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, especially for the neighborhood.
That's a big one.
We got a 70-spot parking lot across the street that's actually getting refinished in the next week, so that's exciting. And that's pretty cool because for nights of shows, it's absolutely for the shows, it's for the artists, it's for people coming in. The rest of the time, we try and open it up for pre-parking for the local businesses. You've got something going on, feel free to use our lot, but based upon our schedule, there might be some limitations. And I think the local folks have loved that. Onto the exciting stuff. We've got a grill. We've got a brewery that we've put in with our partners, Other Half Brewing. We could do about 6,000 kegs of beer a year out of it. All of that is really meant to be on site. We're not going to get into the distribution or anything like that, but we want
That's
all the patrons.
That's a lot of on site.
It is.
All right. Patrons, got some stuff to do, yeah.
Hey, come on down.
Lots of people, lots of shows.
Yes.
But we got that brewery, so we have the brewery, and then we have a 250-person club above the brewery. That was important for us because not everyone can fill a 2,000-person room or even 1,000 people in the room. Burgeoning artists and people that are just trying to cut their teeth. We've got the room upstairs. We've got this amazing partner in GTI, Green Thumb. They provided an LED wall to help with visuals and artists coming in and collaborating and just designing that space. That's really cool. And then we've got the 1,800 person room, and that's 1,400 capacity on the floor, another 400 in the balcony. And then we've actually got the old alley between all these spaces that we filled in, and that's a 200 person guest list for the artists. So capacity is really closer to 2,000 for the event.
Amazing.
Yeah. Our sound system is one of 3 in the country. It's just absolutely beautiful audio. And then we got 8 subwoofers in case you need a little thump. Beer garden for about 300 people. And then we've got an amazing green room, which has got 4 suites, bathroom on each one. Again, Em mentioned taking care of the artists before. We really went above and beyond, again, with our partners Green Thumb and some other folks to make that happen. So we got a ton. It's a lot.
That is exciting. I don't know about you all, but while I have heard about Ramova, this is a lot of information that sounds extremely exciting. Wow.
It's amazing because we see that almost on a daily basis. Wow. We had this amazing D-Case event to kick off the Blues Festival. And every person that came in, their immediate reaction standing outside is we have no idea how the people in line are going to be able to get in. They walk in through the lobby, they're amazed by how we brought it all back, but then they see our big room and they're just floored, absolutely floored. And it's the coolest experience ever, just watching their reaction.
Yeah, from the street front, you really see the marquee and the blade sign for the Ramova Theatre, but then you see the grill. And so you cannot see any of the theater from the street, really, besides the entrance. And so there are always people wondering, how is this line down the block going to fit inside? But you walk in, and it's this huge space and that just seems hidden from the street.
A lot of tears from the old neighbors coming, oh, it looks just like I remember,
It's been amazing and wonderful.
So how would we know about the shows and everything that you have going on there?
Sure. Ramova Chicago, like Instagram, we use a lot of the standard social media. Ramova Chicago on Instagram, Facebook. RamovaChicago.com has our shows. And yeah, I'd say social media is typically the best. We try and do some things last minute just to give a little surprise for the community and things like that. So socials are probably best.
And so you mentioned that over half of your investors were from the community, 75% locally. So talk to me about what that really means to the community. What does Ramova mean to the community? What does it mean to the city of Chicago? And how this really has made an impact? And what's next?
Yeah.
All in one.
No, I love it. For us, when I say just being transparent about it all, when you say when we say half of the investors are from Bridgeport, that could mean a lot.
Because they could have originally lived in Bridgeport and now somewhere else. I get that.
Bridgeport has changed so much. So with all the numbers and stats I threw out, the other thing I'd mention is about a third of our investors are Hispanic. Then we've got another third that are about Asian. Then we've also obviously got African American investors. So we try to do everything.
Very diverse.
Yeah, but what it means to us, I think, is we walk down the street and we see investors all over we walk our girls to school. They go to the local CPS school on 31st. We see our investors as we walk to school. We see them as we're going to lunch in the local restaurants. We see them all over the place because it's truly community owned. Wow. Fellow business owners up and down Halstead have invested. Let's Boogie Records, Solo Eye Care, Wings and Rings, Joby Art Center. These are all people that have helped make Bridgeport what it is today. And they're helping make Ramova what will hopefully be in the future. So for me, it's the dream. It's great. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
So what's next?
I'm hoping for a very full calendar of events that represent everything you can imagine in music, with a really diverse offering. And really one of the things that we get excited about is people coming in and sitting at the bar next to someone who they might not normally talk to and striking up a conversation. Beer is one of those things that does that. Music does that. We've got both under one roof. And seeing people come in and have these experiences with people they might not normally interact with is a beautiful thing. And we've already been fortunate enough to see a lot of that. And I think more opportunities for that are definitely on the way.
Yeah, our team is amazing. Chef Hickey and Brandon from the Duck Inn, who are our food partners, other half. We've got Todd, who is just one of the most distinguished brewers probably in the country. And our staff is phenomenal. Kyle, who's our director of programming, Sarah, F&B, I've just given some shout outs here. Yeah. They're the ones that make it work. And yeah, you're going to see awesome markets. We're out in our beer garden and a ton of shows across all different genres of music because, again, we're here for everybody. But yeah, that's the biggest piece. And we got a lot of work to do there, but we've got a great team and a good plan to get it done.
Beer garden, club, concert.
It's like an adult playground.
Literally.
Just come there with a couple bucks and hey, we'll take you for the day.
Everything going on. Brewery.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, who knows? Somebody's talked about getting a mechanical bull out there for one of the shows coming up. Wow. So sky's the limit. Bring us your ideas. We're wide open.
So before I open the floor, just so you can add anything else that we may have missed or something that you may want to tell the viewers or any advice. We really touched on in the beginning your humble beginnings, but we call this Wealth Wednesdays because we want residents to, first of all, see people like them. And I always say that about myself as the treasurer. I tell residents, I'm like you. I come from humble beginnings. I'm born and raised in Chicago. I get it, raised by a single mother. And I want residents to see me and know this can be their child. This can be them. So I don't want to end this segment without talking a little bit about your background before we open it up to any advice you may want to leave residents or whatever the case may be there. But talk to me a little bit more about your humble beginnings or whatever you want to talk to us about your background.
Yeah, sure. You want to start?
I grew up in Forest Park. I grew up a White Sox fan, so Bridgeport feels like home to me. Yeah. From there, I went to University of Illinois, and my background's actually in special education.
I was going to ask you, what was your major?
Early childhood and special ed. So somehow I ended up here. Special ed actually it really did influence some of the decisions we made at Ramova, things like making sure that the entire space is ADA accessible, making sure that we have a family restroom, making sure we have some gender neutral restrooms. These are things that we really want everyone to feel like Ramova is home. And those are things that make a world of difference for some people. We want them to feel welcome too.
That's right. Your experience really led you and helped to make the decisions there.
It did. It might not seem related, but it really felt like it when it came down to those decisions and making sure that came to life.
Yeah, I mean, similar for me. I mean, I grew up in a military family. My father was in the military as well, sisters, uncles, grandparents, is sort of the family business. Joined the Army when I was 17. And thought it was going to be military for me. And then traveled to Europe. We did a bunch of different things. Never was deployed to war or anything like that. But had that experience and then realized I wanted to do sort of a first in my family and go out and try and get a regular job. And then, just ended up in the entertainment space through a lot of hard work, to be quite frank. Worked for a consulting firm for a while, did a lot of different things, and then worked at this really cool company I'm still associated with. Working with the biggest names, doing the coolest events, in the world. And it was that sort of financial, I'm a finance person, that finance background and understanding how these things come together and having done them for some of the biggest names out there really helped me. But what you just mentioned is unbelievably important to Emily and myself. And it's, anybody can do this. Right. And it's that corny cliche thing that everybody in middle school, grade school, high school, whatever, so you can be anything you want, Right. You really can. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's unbelievably hard. But as long as, the schools are going to be good enough if you really work hard and put your nose down and get the work done. The networks and the outlets are out there. If you have the support to find them and get there, the sky is really the limit. And I cannot stress it enough. It's because it's real. Just go for it. We never thought we'd be doing it, genuinely. When we got married 20-something years ago, we're like, you know what, one day we might make 6 figures and we're going to get a house. And if we're lucky, we might have a pool and that'll be it, Yes. And then we look back and we're like, okay, this is totally different than we expected. Yeah. And we're excited because we get to hopefully impact hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people with what we're trying to do here. But we didn't think we were going to do that. We just kept working hard and really followed what our gut told us. So anybody can do anything.
But notice what Tyler said when he said it's an incredible amount of work.
Yeah.
I think that we live at a time where a lot of people think success comes overnight. Mm-hmm. For some people it does, right. But for most people it doesn't. For some people it does, but for most people it doesn't. And it takes a lot of hard work. Sometimes I think we don't want to hear that, right? Because we just want it like this. I was just out of town visiting a small business owner offering support out of the state. And this guy literally works at his business like from opening until close, 7 days a week.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I said, wait, hold on. You're the owner. And so he said, sometimes an employee doesn't show up, or sometimes someone is sick and I don't have a backup, I don't have this, or sometimes things happen. And so he said it's just been for the last couple of months that he's been working 7 days a week, open and close. And so I thought that's amazing, but that's a lot of work and dedication.
And that's every time we face something hard, seeing that every day in Bridgeport helps to remind us that there are a lot of people doing this, similar things that we are, and the hard work's a part of it. George's is this amazing restaurant on Halstead. George opened it, unfortunately he passed. His daughter's still there working in the kitchen, and her daughter's at the register. Martinez Tacos, Mr. and Mrs. Martinez. Mr. Martinez is working the register on Morgan Street. His wife, Mrs. Martinez, is back in the kitchen, and their son, Rudy, who's about my age, is behind the grill. And they work 7 days a week, and you literally see them there first thing in the morning till the end of the night. And you're right, it's unbelievably hard work. Em and I have been working on efforts that got us here for 20 years. And we're just starting. Like, we opened the doors January 1st, but if I could sit down and write all the things that we need to work on, improve, and continue to get better at to make sure we're successful, we've got years and years to come of work to make it happen. But if you really want to do something like this, it's work to get here, and then it's work to maintain it. So don't get me wrong, and who knows, hopefully we'll be successful. We got an amazing team and supporters, but you got to stay on top of it.
Yes.
So.
And we're incredibly fortunate to be in a position where we're surrounded. I mean, even when we're at work, so often it's things that we want to be doing.
That's right.
Yeah. And if it's not something, maybe that task isn't what we want to be doing when we're shoveling snow or taking out garbage or whatever it is, that might not be the task we want, but it's working to improve what we love. And that is part of life. That is how you get the good things in life.
Yeah. It's not work when it's something you love.
So it's not work when it's not work. And that's the other thing. It's really hard. Yeah. But not work when it's not work. Yeah.
I mean, I've never been more grateful to use the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser on every inch of a building. You know what I mean?
And I've never been more grateful to have Emily do that, because that's not a thing I get excited about. But you find your own little ways. And again, our team and the people that come in are phenomenal. But yeah, I can't stress enough. It's not just a shtick. It's real. If people, but the other thing is that I would stress is a lot of people don't know what they want to do until later on. I mean, don't be a 12-year-old and know what you're going to do with the rest of your life and starting your business plan now or whatever the hustle is going to be. Em and I didn't have this idea until, like I said, 2017. We've been married for, almost 15 years at that point. So just wait till it hits. When it does hit, don't be afraid to grab onto it, and blood, sweat, and tears and thousands of hours of hustle, and you might get it done.
And don't take no for an answer.
Yeah, that's true.
From anybody.
And never take no for an answer.
Don't take no for an answer. Is that I was going to ask you for some closing thoughts, but I just love don't take no for an answer. But any other closing thoughts?
But yeah, if it's a good idea, a lot of people are going to think it's a bad idea. Because, if you do something new, it means a lot of other people either haven't thought about it before or haven't thought it was compelling enough. But if you're smart enough and you've really put the rigor in and you think like, okay, this could be exciting, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to tell you it won't work. Oh, that doesn't make sense because of this. Oh, you can't do it because of that. If that would have made sense, somebody else would have done it. And then you pull it together and you realize a lot of times it's just they don't have experience. Sometimes people do think it's a good idea and they don't want to support it. Or sometimes you will get some no's that give you good feedback too. But just have faith and, again, stay focused on the hustle.
Stay focused on the hustle. Emily?
Oh, I think he summarized all of it right there. And patience, I guess.
And what were you just talking about?
It took a lot of
plenty
patience.
of magic wipes, or what are the things?
Magic erasers.
Yeah, magic erasers.
Yeah, it never hurts to put a little bit of polish on it.
I love it. Well, this has certainly been an awesome segment.
Awesome. Yeah.
And again, I personally want to thank you all for coming in, even during this time where, we know the recent accident that occurred with the bus. You're like, we put all this work into our baby. What happened? But you all, diligence, were able to just bounce back. We're excited about the theater. We can't wait to track all the shows and events and everything that's going on. And we're going to have some stuff there too, Chicago, and make certain that we support our businesses that are local in the community, from the community. Really thank you all for caring.
No, thank you for having us here. And again,
Thank you so much.
Thank you to your team that came through. We met them before. And thank you to the city. I mean, so much support across the city, the state, and everybody else. It's a cool feeling. So thank you.
Tyler and Emily, thank you all for your dedication to making Chicago a better city and for providing so much information today. Today has been awesome. I am excited about Ramova Theatre. I know that you are as well. Make certain that you follow them at RamovaChicago.com. Did I get the website correct?
Yes, you did.
Ramova Chicago website, but also follow them on social media. Make certain you are up to date on all of the events that are occurring at that venue. And so also, if you missed any of our previous Wealth Wednesday segments, please visit ChicagoCityTreasurer.com to rewatch and learn more about other financial education programs that our office has to offer. Thank you so much for joining us at today's Wealth Wednesday conversation with the owners of Ramova Theatre in Bridgeport. Until next time, Chicago. See
Chicago.
you soon. Hey! Chicago, ready for financial freedom? Join the Money Matters Institute. Free workshops, personal credit counseling, and expert advice to grow your wealth. Visit www.chicagocitytreasurer.com/MMI. Let's prosper together.